Hello and welcome to another sketchbook tour. I'm very excited to share this one with you today. This one is a little bit different than normal, and I actually think this might be my best sketchbook that I've ever kept. Normally I will share sketchbooks right after I finish them pretty much, but this one is actually from a few years ago. I believe I finished it all up in 2020, and when I found out that I never posted a sketchbook tour of this, I was so surprised. And I was looking through my files at one point and I actually realized I think I did record a sketchbook tour, but then I didn't like it, so I was going to re-record it, but I just never ended up doing that, so it never ended up getting shared. Please excuse that the outside is a little bit dirty. I used it outdoors a lot, and the sketchbook itself is fabric, so I didn't end up decorating it or anything. It is I think it's called a Travelogue Sketchbook by Handbook Co. It has watercolor paper, and it's honestly really nice, and that is part of why it was, I think, one of my best sketchbooks. Every single page has paint, and I kept it alongside of a normal sketchbook. So for me, I would have like a painting sketchbook and then like a regular sketchbook where I would do like my pencil sketches and stuff like that. But in this one, I was just practicing painting, and I started it in 2019, and that was the year where I was actually teaching myself how to paint, and I was really intense about it. I painted every single day. I was like really into watching videos about it and doing little studies of just observing the paint itself. And so I started with watercolor, and then I moved into gouache, and then I eventually moved into acrylic. So you're going to see that throughout this sketchbook, and there's going to be a lot of little studies and stuff. So I think it's really fun, and I'm excited to share it with you today. So let's get into it. So on this first little page, I wanted to do something fun because one of the first things I noticed was that there is like the regular watercolor paper on the front inside cover. So I ended up doing like little swatches of color combinations, which isn't really that fun, and I never filled it in all the way, but it's kind of fun. And then these are two little studies of photos that I took. I think this one I might have done while I was at that place, but I'm not fully sure at this point. So this was the Spokane River, and this was in Ritzville. I think it was just at a rest stop in Washington State. Then we have a few more little studies. This one did not turn out good. This one's kind of cute, I feel like. And I know that these two are from photos that I found on Pinterest, and I believe this one was from a picture that I took myself. And I remember I had a lot of fun doing like really loose brush marks with this, and just kind of trying a little bit of a different style than normal and trying to be like really loose with the brush strokes for all of it, and especially like here, just leaving gaps between the paint and stuff. Then we have this spread. I really like this spread. This one was a study of the lead singer from Vampire Weekend, and this was a photo from Instagram by this person, and these were little swatches of my paint palette that I had put together. And with this one, I lined it with a brush marker, and I think I used like a little bit of a micron in there too, but otherwise it's all watercolor. Some more little practice things. This one did not turn out very good, and I know this one was from Imagination with watercolor, and this one was from a reference with gouache. And this was like one of my very first gouache paintings, and I did not understand the paint at all, but I had a lot of fun, and I actually still enjoy how this turned out. And then up here we have a little thumbnail for a painting that I did, and I actually still really like that painting, and I have prints of it in my shop still, and so it's really fun to see that little thumbnail there. And then I wrote down the colors I wanted to use for it. And then we have three things that were from like photos. This one was just with pen, and I honestly really like how the flowers turned out there, even though they're not like perfect or anything. This one didn't turn out exactly how I wanted, because you can't layer too much on this paper, so I got to a certain point where like if I were working on, I don't want to say better quality paper because it's not bad for sketchbook paper, but like if I were working on regular watercolor paper, it would have layered a lot better in some of these like deeper areas that just kind of got muddled. And then we have something for fun over here that didn't really turn out that well. And with these, I was doing a little experiment where I was, instead of mixing colors on my palette, I was like layering them on the paper. So like I did yellow first, and then I did some orange over that, and then blue over that. And I really like how it turned out over here on this one. I never ended up finishing these ones, so I guess there's not paint on every single page, so excuse that, but I think every other page has paint. This one was a little study. I think I did that one outdoors at a rest stop in Wyoming, and this one didn't turn out how I wanted, but I did a little bit of watercolor with some colored pencil layering over it. And I was trying something right here with Poscas that didn't really work out, and then a little paint blob that I drew over after it was there, and a little illustration. Then we have some swatches that I did not finish filling in, but the rest of it is nice to look at, I think. I was doing some different color combinations with Naples Yellow. I think it was right after I bought that paint color, so I was trying out some different stuff. Here I was getting more into gouache, and I was doing a bunch of swatching with it, and this was a little like pre-study before a painting that I did, and I really like how the finished painting of that ended up turning out. I believe this was another one where I was just doing the colors on my palette, and then this was experimenting with gouache. A study that I never finished, and then some more just little doodle stuff, and I really like the way that this painting turned out even still. I honestly think it's really nice. Some little raccoons and a little study of a landscape, bunnies over here. By the way, throughout my sketchbooks, a lot of the time like words like this are lyrics, so there has been a bit of that so far. Some more testing and playing around with gouache. I don't think any of these notes are correct though, so don't worry about that. A little illustration. This is glued in. I don't know why I glued it in because it's not finished. And it also looks like there used to be something else there, but I'm honestly not really sure. I can't think of any reason there would be like a perfect rectangle here though. More playing around. Some of this stuff is less exciting, but there are also a lot of like finished things in here that I think are exciting. Looks like I got some new supplies, so I was trying them out. And then some little mushrooms that don't look all the way finished, but the spirit is there. And here we have several studies. I think they were all somewhat quick, and then it was really interesting to do these like little landscapes. I don't really know much about landscape painting even still, but it's nice to try. And then that one is just pencil. These were some pre-sketches for an Inktober drawing that I was doing that year. I think this one was for a ring, maybe, and I did like a fairy ring, and then like a tiny little like mushroom fairy ring, and then like a big fairy. More just playing around with the paint itself. It looks like I was doing a lot with cobalt teal, and then so there was a lot of granulation in the stuff that I was doing. More studies. I remember I did these ones on a park bench, but from photos, and these are all gouache, and I believe this one was a photo that I took. Some studies with watercolor and just using one paint color, and then there's some colored pencil over that, and then a gouache portrait. Swatches. I think I was making a mini palette, so I was like deciding which colors to include. And then over here, these three are acrylic swatches, and I think this painting is acrylic. This one is watercolor. This one over here is an acrylic painting, and I believe with this one I was using some like really bad student grade gouache, and I was kind of just playing around with that. And then a little gouache bird. More figure studies. I honestly really like these ones. I believe they were done with gouache, but I used it really watery. This one was a self-portrait, and it was done using acrylics, and I was trying to use like a really bad kids palette, but it did not go well. Some of these pages I did mean to go back and fill in, but I honestly ended up kind of feeling like I moved on from the sketchbook because I had like a really major life change, and I only had like one page left in this, and then like spots I wanted to fill in, so I didn't end up doing that. But we have a little illustration over here. I know I used some Posca on the hair, and this was an acrylic study. And I love this spread. I love this painting. I think it's really nice. There's some lyrics here, and this one was done with brush pen, and then these other ones were with gouache. And then, like I said, I didn't finish the last couple of pages. I didn't even draw the second eye here. I started drawing Daisy May, did not finish that. Oh, and then I did paint these in, and then there's lyrics all in the background. These are with watercolor, but yeah, these look like I did not spend a lot of time on them though. And then a random page, I think all of these swatches were acrylic gouache. I spelled it wrong at first, and I think that was like right after I got my acrylic gouache, and none of these paintings were with that medium. And the last lone little painting of a snail. I remember also doing this one in a park. And then there's just a little pocket with some little paper scraps. So yeah, that's the sketchbook. The reason I think it's one of my best is because there are so many finished paintings in here that I actually really like, and I did a lot of studies in here, which I think is great. I really need to do more. I feel like I never do them enough anymore, but honestly maybe I'm holding myself to too high of a standard because I was doing them so much in here. I hope that you enjoyed. Definitely let me know what you think. Let me know if you paint in your normal sketchbooks or if you keep a separate sketchbook for your paintings. I would love to hear how you like to separate that. And yeah, subscribe if you'd like, leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!